First of all, thank you very much for attending this webinar. Merhaba from Istanbul, Turkey. A blessed Thursday to you. I would like to thank you all for participating in this webinar called Istanbul Webinar Series for Regional and City Investment Promotion Agencies, Volume 1. You know, we are all going through strange times surrounded by the pandemic. So in the light of the new normal, regional authorities, including IPAs, play a vital role about alleviating the impact of COVID-19 on our economies. From our perspective, IPAs should consider themselves as collaborative counterparts rather than seeing themselves as rivals. Learning from each other and sharing best practices matter. Therefore, we see Istanbul Webinar Series for Regional and City IPAs supported by WIPA, World Association of Investment Promotion Agencies, an opportunity to pave the way for new cooperative actions and offer policy recommendations. In our first volume of this webinar series, we have distinguished panelists from South America, Ms. Ana Maria Badel, CEO from Pro Barranquilla from Colombia, and her colleague Maria Alejandra, also from Pro Barranquilla. And also we have Mr. Thiago Coelho Toscano. He is the CEO of Minas Gerais Investment and Trade Promotion Agency from Brazil. In today's session, we have some topics to cover, but these are not limited, by the way. We will be ready for your questions. We would like to hear from your regions, from Barranquilla and also Minas Gerais. And we would like to hear the policies that you have followed so far in order to alleviate the impact of COVID-19. And also, we would like you to compare your strategies before pandemic and after pandemic, how it's going afterwards. Moreover, I would like you to bring up another hot topic on the table. How do you engage with your national IPAs? And I would like you to tell us your best practices and basic problems in this issue. And lastly, what is your agenda today in your office? Plus, we all wonder your success stories and best practices that we would like to learn from you. And in the last part, we will have Q&A session. Please, attendees and audience, drop your questions so our panelists will be answering them sincerely. First of all, I would like to again thank you for giving me this opportunity. On behalf of the people of Istanbul, I'm saluting you all. Merhaba from Istanbul. After this quick briefing, it's going to be a pleasure for me to kick off this webinar. Dear Ana Maria and Maria Alejandra, Colombia is a country located in the north of Southern American continent. We all know it's known for its natural beauty, scenic mountains, tropical rainforests and beaches. It is also known for its biodiversity, rich cultural history and heritage. Barranquilla as a city on Colombia's Caribbean coast is a busy industrial city. Barranquilla is nicknamed Colombia's Golden Gate because as an important port city, it was the gateway for progress in Colombia. Aviation, telephones, radio, trains, and football all came to Barranquilla first in Colombia. So now we wonder about the investment climate in the city and how it's going. So could you please first introduce yourself, and the floor is yours to Pro Barranquilla.
Bueno, thank you very much, Noor, for this introduction. My name is Ana Maria. I'm having technical problems. That's why my camera is not on, but Maria Alejandra will be joining us in order to have a better conversation with you all. First of all, I want to thank you, Invest in Istanbul and WIPA for organizing this type of webinars addressed to regional agencies. Is very important, as Onur mentioned, all these sharing of the best practices. We do believe that the connecting between agencies is really very important in order to acquire not only knowledge, but experience, and in order to have a better performance in our regions. Pro Barranquilla is a private organization. We are sponsored by over 100 national, local companies, and our main objective is to contribute to the prosperity of our region. That's the reason why we stand up every day. And we do believe that attracting both domestic and international investments into a region is the best way in which we could contribute to this generation of prosperity. I want to say also hi to Tiago from Minas Gerais. It's very important for us having this kind of experience with different regions from South America. I'll give the floor to Maria Alejandra. She will explain and she will talk us about why do Barranquilla has become in the last years one of the main regions in terms of attracting investments into Colombia. We definitely have a unique value proposal, and but most of all, she will share with all of us very brief the main highlights of why Barranquilla and why Colombia are really into attracting both types of investments and contributing to our economic and social development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ana Maria. And thank you again, Invest Istanbul and WIPA for the invitation and for the great opportunity to talk about the city of Barranquilla and the state of Atlántico. As Ana Maria mentioned, my name is Maria Alejandra Enriquez, and I am head of investment promotion at Pro Barranquilla. So I would like to start our presentation by highlighting some general facts about our country, Colombia, to provide a little bit of context. So Colombia is the only country in South America that has coastlines on both the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. We have over 50 million inhabitants, and it makes Colombia the third most populous country in Latin America and the third largest economy in South America. Our state is called Atlántico and is the fourth most populated city in Colombia and represents 30% of the Colombian Caribbean region's GDP. It is located in the north coast of the country on the banks of the Magdalena River, which makes the Atlántico an ideal destination for companies targeting both domestic and foreign markets. Our capital city is called Barranquilla, and as owner mentioned, we are known as the Golden Gate of Colombia due to our importance in the country's economic development, industrialization, and gateway to modernity. On the next slide, I would like to summarize why companies choose Barranquilla and the state of Atlántico to set up operations. So first, the Atlántico offers a multimodal logistic platform with fluvial, air, land, and telecommunications connectivity. We are a port city with market access to more than 1,500 million consumers in more than 60 countries worldwide that hold commercial agreements with Colombia. Second, the Atlántico has 4 permanent free trade zones that provide tax and customs incentives to new industrial companies. Additionally, we also have 19 industrial parks, 10 port terminals, and more than 20 business centers and co-working spaces to any type of business. The territory offers also tax incentives up to 10 years for new companies establishing operations and relocating operations to the Atlántico. The third reason why Barranquilla is ideal destination is because of its human resources. We are the training center of the Colombian Caribbean region, where the best universities and schools are located in the north coast of the country. We are also well known for our bilingual population, and this has allowed the development of the BPO and IT industry in our city. And lastly, in terms of quality of life, Barranquilla is a medium-sized city with competitive living costs for our inhabitants, with highly qualified health, educational, and entertaining services. All of this context of Barranquilla in the Atlántico has allowed us to position the territory internationally. For the 2019-2020 edition of the American Cities of the Future of the Financial Times, Barranquilla was ranked 7th in the top 10 for its performance in terms of investment and promotion strategy. So this is like a very quick brief of our territory. So thank you, and I think, yes, so next, I'm finished here. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Alejandra, for this presentation. Now, after this quick briefing about Pro Barranquilla and Barranquilla city in Colombia, I would like to proceed with Thiago. We know that Brazil is the largest country in South America and the most populous, with around 200 million inhabitants. Its official language is Portuguese. It's famous for many things, some of which are bound to know already: Rio Carnival, Amazon rainforests, football, Copacabana, and so on. Minas Gerais is a state in the southern Brazil, and it ranks as the most populous, the 3rd by gross domestic product, and the 4th largest by area in the country. The state's capital and largest city, Belo Horizonte, is a major urban and finance center in Latin America. So, dear Thiago, could you tell us more about Minas Gerais? And the floor is yours now.
Well, thank you very much, my good friend Mehmet, so for this opportunity to talk about the state of Minas Gerais and making this fantastic event here. I would like to also to say hello to Ana Maria Badel and all the attendees here. Good evening or good morning in the case of my friends from Barranquilla. Buenos dias. Make my presentation here, have a brief presentation as well about not only Minas Gerais, but also about Indy. Well, before that, just confirming some information you just give, Mehmet. Brazil has around 210 million inhabitants, so and growing fast. We are the 90th largest world economy in terms of DPG by the World Bank ranking. We are the 6th largest FDI influx, which United States is the most representative for the economy of the country. Then we have China and Singapore and the Netherlands. We also a very big country in terms of extension. We represent around 50%, 40 almost 50% of South America, which makes quite difficult to manage. And for example, the state of Minas Gerais is the same size as France. So I believe that makes the partnership, as you mentioned in the beginning of your speech, the necessity to be very close to the national IPAs. And that's something that we have been trying to do since the beginning of last year, when the governor took place, the governor of the state of Minas Gerais took place. I'd like to say some words, Ana Maria, and just showing the map where Barranquilla is. I'd like to also to share the location of Minas Gerais, because you know that usually people know São Paulo and people know Rio de Janeiro. We've been traveling a lot, and it's not very common to find someone that knows Minas Gerais. As I mentioned, Minas Gerais is in the southeast of Brazil. It's in the same size as France. And it's interesting position in terms of location and logistics, because you can fly to around, you are 1 hour flight from around almost 6% of Brazilian GDP. So you can fly 1 hour and you get at São Paulo, you fly 1 hour, you are in Rio de Janeiro, you fly 1 hour and you are in the capital of Brazil, Brasilia. So it's very well centered, which makes Minas Gerais the logistic state or province of Brazil. We are the third largest economy and the second in population, have 21 million inhabitants in the state of Minas Gerais. And we also hold the only free trade zone airport in Brazil, here in Belo Horizonte, the capital, which is in the center of the state. So because of that, we've been hosting some foreign companies here in Belo Horizonte. We usually say that when people get to know Belo Horizonte, they give up about São Paulo and Minas Gerais and move to Belo Horizonte, exactly because of the quality of life you have here, because you can have the access to all kinds of services in terms of education, health, entertainment, but you live in a safer city. You can walk around anytime, and you have no problems with criminality, and you have good hospitals, good schools, and so on. So that's one of the reasons that Fiat Chrysler Automobile has its biggest facility in the world here in the surrounding areas of the metropolitan area of Belo Horizonte, the capital of Minas Gerais. We also hold General Electric. We have the only R&D center of Google in the South Hemisphere. We are the house for Infosys. It's an Indian company. Philips, XCMG, which is also a Chinese company. So we've been working on that as Indy for the past, not 51 as you can see in this slide, but for the 52 years. So we the Brazilian Apex, which is Brazilian IPA, national IPA, started in the 90s. So we were kind of a laboratory for them to establish their operations. And that's one of the reasons we have a good relationship with them. Minas Gerais is the #1 in coffee production. 6% around the coffee, which is Colombia, is also very, very strong. We have the only helicopter facility here, manufacturer here called Elibras, in a partnership with Airbus from France, established in Minas Gerais. We also are #1 in healthcare equipment. Manufacturing, steel, #1 in steel, in solar energy, and iron ore as well. So we have kind of very, it's not very as São Paulo, but a diversified economy as well. And our governor has when he was elected to simplify the way or the work that the life of people that want to make business in Minas Gerais. You know that bureaucracy is a major problem, not only in Brazil, around the world, but in Brazil it's a major problem. And especially in the pandemic, it was very important, and I'll have the opportunity to tell about the initiatives that we adopted during the pandemic, which help us on attracting investment in a higher level than the last year. So that's Minas Gerais, and EDA is the IPA, and as an IPA, we usually help companies and investors to establish their unities or their operation here in Minas Gerais, helping on tax treatments, licensing, infrastructure, and all this soft landing, so people can hear instead of trying to understand how things works. You don't have to do that. Just go to India, and we will have the investment to happen here in the state of Minas Gerais. That's a quite brief information.
Thank you, Thiago, for the presentation. And now let's proceed with the questions that we would like to raise. We know that governments across the world have undertaken wide-ranging measures to combat the negative effects of this COVID-19 crisis. Speaking about Turkey and also other countries, there are the different policies pursued. So in the new normal, Dear Ana Maria and Maria Alejandra, what kind of policies have you followed so far in your city or in your country in order to alleviate the impact of COVID-19 on the economy? The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Well, Pro Barranquilla has worked on several fronts to alleviate the impact of COVID-19. On the social front, at the beginning of the pandemic and lockdown, we participated in the launch of two local solidarity response funds campaigns. One was called Backathon and the other one was called Together We Are More. Through these two campaigns, we raised around $2 million with the support of 380 companies and 651 citizens that participated with donations. We also participated in a national campaign called Colombia Takes Care of Colombia, and by leading the regional committee through which we were able to channel the imminent needs of the Caribbean region of Colombia in terms of healthcare supplies and food to the national government. The second front was the economic front. So we designed a project bank where what we did was we launched the project bank in order to identify local business opportunities that were in need of financial support, or they were looking for strategic partnerships in order to carry out their projects. And so far, we are working with around 15 projects here with the project bank. We are also working with ProColombia, the Major Office of Barranquilla, the government of the Atlántico, and the Embassy of Colombia in the United States. So we designed an investment promotion strategy to attract companies seeking to nearshore, looking for locations to move their operations from Asia, trying to attend the United States. So from Colombia and from Barranquilla specifically, they can use the country or location to export to the United States and locating here their manufacturing operations. And the other front we are working on is the political front, where we're part of a local economy reactivation committee in which local government discusses the next steps towards reopening the economy and promoting consumption, while also monitoring the spread of the COVID-19 in the Atlántico, of course. So at the beginning of the pandemic, we conducted a survey among the companies in the Atlántico, and there we were able to identify some needs, which resulted in one specific initiative that was a state finance credit line to relieve their cash flow to the companies that are established in the Atlántico. So these are some examples of how Pro Barranquilla has been working to alleviate the impact of the COVID-19. I don't know, maybe if Ana Maria wants to add another comment.
I just want to add something. We've been working both at the national and local level with, I will say, like main stakeholders, private sector, academia, the main universities, and also the experts in terms of economy, in terms of employment generation, in terms of public policy, in order to work very close with both the national and local government in the decision-making process of the different initiatives that we've been developing in terms of generating employment. So just to give you an example, we've been working identifying the main infrastructure projects, local, that will contribute to the generation of lots of employments, but they need cooperation from the government in terms of policy. In terms of accelerating for example, the licenses they have that they need in terms to start the construction of the project. So that's another thing we've been doing that before the pandemic was not part of our plans. So that basically, I think I want to highlight that is the work and the generation of joint work between the private sector, the academia, and the public sector.
Thank you for your contributions, dear Ana Maria. Thiago, when we go to Brazil and also Minas Gerais. Would you like to add your opinions? What have been going on in Brazil?
Yes, it's important to say that in Brazil, the states are not allowed to work on monetary policies. So, as a state, you have to focus in the short term in some fiscal policies to help company to survive with their cash flows, working together with the finance secretary. So they because nobody would know how long it would take. So you say people and companies must survive, and cash flow is something that kills the company. So we worked on in the short term, trying to make companies survive. In the long term, in the medium term, we start to as I said before, we try to reduce some red tapes here. I have some numbers. We cut it like the red tape for more than 600 low risk business activities, and to help companies because we also noticed that even with the pandemic, lots of investments were looking for the state of Minas Gerais. So we also thought in the long term, say, okay, what kind of activities are growing during the pandemic? And you notice that food and beverage were increasing a lot, logistics with distribution centers, and also solar energy. And this is what we are really strong. So we start also focus on these companies to bring investment to state. And this kind of investments increased a lot. We have like McCain, which is the biggest French fries frozen fresh fries producer in the world. They started the operation here. We increased the amount of investment in solar energy because we noticed that company, because of cash flow, they would like to reduce their expenditures on light. So we start making the match between the companies that are making the investment to sell solar energy to companies established here. So it's kind of a way to do that. And also in the long term, we establish besides the increase in the number of the ways to funding through the funding companies through our development bank, that we could get money on the federal government. We also created a very interesting program and noticed that big companies established here wanted to invest in infrastructure like railway or gas pipeline. And we created a program together in the state that they could invest if they were making investments to increase their operation. And they could, because of the investment, they would have a tax break on so they instead of paying for the tax on their operation, they could use this money to fund this infrastructure. That helped a lot on us to keep our economy very, very sustainable, or at least sustainable as possible during the pandemic.
Thank you for your contributions, and we were very happy to hear that there were effective policies being implemented over there. When we go to the second question, as stated in IPAs reports, the spread of COVID-19 is now the main concern across the globe. As with many other organizations, IPAs have had to switch to remote working arrangements, face various organizational and IT and management challenges as well. For IPAs, this has meant canceling in-person investor visits. They are not attending events or fairs physically, or they are not organizing missions or roadshows. But on the other hand, they are now regularly providing information via their websites and switching immediately to digital tools and solutions. So you are the managers, CEOs of your agencies. From a managerial perspective, when you make a comparison to the strategies used until the pandemic, have you shifted from a traditional approach to using more digital and remote working tools? What tools are you using right now? Ana Maria and Maria Alejandra, would you like to tell us what strategies are you following in this regard?
Definitely, our approach or traditional approach had to adapt rapidly to digital technologies. We started accelerating everything regarding how do you say that, digital transformation. So for a long time, we've been talking, for example, something very, very, how do you say, like very easy, like remote work, but it was just in the conversation. So we started, at least we were expecting before the pandemic, so to start working, for example, 1 day per week, doing remote work, but we didn't really or actually implemented it. So in the first trimester of the year, when we witnessed that the world started to shut down, Pro Barranquilla was one of the first organizations in Barranquilla that immediately shifted to remote work almost overnight. In 1 week, we had to adapt all our activities, all our business agendas, so to what is now known as the new normal. Zoom meetings, webinars, Google Drive, learning, e-learning, among many others. That was like the first thing we had to do. We have doubled our budget in digital communications and marketing. A big part of it has gone to developing new multimedia resources, advertising in digital channels, hosting online events, investing in social media, and definitely updating our website. I think this is very important to highlight in terms of the workforce or digamos, in terms of all my colleagues. I think this has brought the team closer. Definitely, we are more consistently in touch with one another, and this has become, it's weird, but it has become a time for connection, like to strengthen the culture of trust, transparency, of collaboration of Pro Barranquilla. It's been very challenging, definitely doing everything online. I think I don't believe things should be 100% online, but at this moment is the only possibility we have. And the reality is that businesses, just like human, has to embrace change and adapt to our new realities in order to continue relevant. So COVID-19 has forced both pace and scale of workplace innovation, finding simpler, I think faster and less expensive ways to operate. And at the end, I just would like to mention we are right at this moment doing a very strong exercise of strategy in our organization. So I think at the end, this has shown us that we have all the possibilities and all the capabilities in order to transform our organizations and contribute to this new reality. So that's basically what I wanted to highlight it.
Okay. Thank you. Again, Thiago, would you like to tell us how you are managing Minas Gerais Investment and Trade Promotion Agency? What kind of tools or remote working arrangements have you done so far? The floor is yours.
I believe that it's quite the same as Ana Maria just said, which is probably very close to what you are doing there in Invest Istanbul and other companies, private companies as well. It's not different for us. I think we are just really putting some focus on social media and all electronic device online meetings. It's quite kind of the same. What it's important is to add is that we notice not only by us but also by the companies that the online meetings also can achieve important goals or outcomes. It's kind of our culture as well. We like to be face to face, shake hands. and have the opportunity to look in the eyes of the companies who are dealing with that. But we noticed that we could be using these online platforms to make online meetings before, and we probably will keeping that, because you can gain time. You probably have the same scenario as we have. We don't have a very big team. We have 40 people. So as the more you can really take advantage of time of people, you can make more meetings. We hear people saying all the time, we are working more than we did in the pandemic. We don't have time to stop to take a coffee, go to the bathroom. So it kind of increases the productivity of team here, but it's quite the same.
Thank you for this feedback. Another key point, as you know, and we all mentioned of this webinar, is that how regional IPAs should cooperate with national IPAs. So how we work with Invest in Turkey is that our national IPA is responsible for organizing roadshows, convincing international business people to set up their businesses in Turkey. If their choice is Istanbul, then we step in and accompany this business person while establishing his or her business and completing the bureaucratic steps in Istanbul. So in addition to this, also national IPAs usually focus on large-scale investments. But we, for example, Invest in Istanbul now focuses on international startups, which are prospective unicorns for the future. So Ana Maria and Maria Alejandra, how do you engage with your national IPAs for Colombia? How do you think a successful synergy and collaborative approach be pursued in this regard? The floor is yours.
We have a very close relationship with ProColombia. We were very hand in hand in order to position our country worldwide and as an ideal destination for foreign investment. I think a successful synergy between us is based on a common purpose, lots of communications, and focused and aligned strategy. Every year, Pro Barranquilla and the different regional IPAs in the country meet with ProColombia in order to first learn about the different strategies defined by the national government to attract investments. And we then share with them, with ProColombia, what our IPA has prioritized industries and markets in order to identify where our actions plans are aligned. And then we will decide which kind of joint activities we will develop further. ProColombia, as you know, has commercial offices worldwide. I think that, in fact, ProColombia's office in Istanbul is joining us this evening. We were very close with, in fact, with Marcela, and these commercial offices worldwide through which regional IPAs can learn about the global markets and the different investment leads. In Barranquilla, we also have a local office of ProColombia that provides us support to local exporters and foreign investors. And so usually both organizations support all the investment decision-making process and provide all the soft landing services. We also share with ProColombia our investment leads and establish a common front to showcase all the advantages of Colombia and of our region. Pro Barranquilla is not part of ProColombia, like we are independent organizations. One is the national one and the other one is just local private sector supported organization, but we do work very close in order to attract both investments into our region, into Colombia and into our region. So that's basically what we're doing with ProColombia.
Thiago, we know Apex Brazil. It's one of the most successful IPAs, national IPAs in the world, like ProColombia and also Invest Turkey. So how do you engage and how collaborative approach do you pursue with Apex Brazil? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think we were very lucky that we could count on with the fact that the vice governor of Minas Gerais and some of his team were part of Apex, especially his team. They worked for Apex. The vice governor not, but people from his team. So it helped us to approach with Apex, and that's something that we really wanted to do, because when we got here for the first time, in the first month, there were a mission of Indy and some and entrepreneurs from Minas Gerais going to China, and Indy was there was a big it was food and beverage event in China, and Indy had Apex had a place there to show Brazil, and Indy also rent a place there to show Minas Gerais, and said it makes no sense. We should get some ride on what Apex is doing, because we can save money and we can do more. And that's something that's how we start approaching with Apex. Then Apex makes every year around October, Brazil Investment. It holds Brazil Investment Forum, and we start going to this event. And last year when we went there, there was a Chinese company, automobile company there. They wanted to invest in Brazil. So 1 week after the event, we were there in China, talking to the company with the support of Apex. So because it's interesting, and it happens in the subnational level, Apex doesn't choose where companies, especially the foreign investment, want to make investment. When they have a good relationship with the agencies and got information they request, usually it's easy for the investor to know about that. So that's what we are trying to be very quick on get some response, being very close, available all the time, participating on this in physical and now online seminars that they hold, or inviting them to the ones we are holding. Is also something that we are doing as well. And because of that, I think we are kind of getting success, because it's the same, and you notice that because the same happens to us. Minas Gerais has 853 cities inside the state, and usually you have a mayor, economic development secretary, or even a city IPA saying, oh, you have to help me with the company to establish here. And say, I don't tell companies where they want to establish. I show, sometimes I need to quick response for some municipalities, and they have to, if you get a delay or if you don't respond, you lose investment. So you notice that the municipalities close to us get more investment, and we start doing the same. So it could be the states to get more investments that Apex is trying to bring to Brazil. So that's how we were working.
Thank you, Thiago, for this answer. I would like to continue with your agenda today, because we, at the beginning of this webinar, I said we all try to do our best and we try to learn from each other, and best practices from each agency is going to be a good success story for the other. So shall we talk about your agenda today? Would you like to share us some insights about what you are focusing on right now? And we will be very happy to hear your best practices and success stories. Maria Alejandra, would you like to?
Honor, I couldn't listen to what you said. You are on mute.
Would you like to share us your agenda and your best practice today? So I will be sharing your presentation now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Pro Barranquilla continues to focus on investment attraction and retention of national and foreign investments, considering all this new reconfiguration of global supply chains. But also we prioritize investment retention in these times of COVID, of course. So our agenda for the rest of this year, we have an event called Expo Pro Barranquilla, which is our main event of the year, in which we are celebrating our 10th anniversary this month. So we have multiple activities during the month. We are starting next week with a business matchmaking forum. So here we invite some investment projects to meet with potential local suppliers, but also we promote local business to meet with other potential allies here in Barranquilla. After that, we have another activity that's called Barranquilla Investment Conference, where it's actually designed for IPAs, where we gather some, where we share best practices and new strategies, and also we talk about the trends in investment attraction, especially now in the COVID era, that everything it's a bit different. And we also have at the end of the month, a couple of days of conferences where usually are the mayor of Barranquilla, the governor of Atlántico, Pro Colombia, and other speakers are invited to talk about the business opportunities after COVID-19, how we are planning to reactivate the economy, and the projects we have in terms of the local government. Second, our investment promotion team has been working with Pro Colombia also in a joint strategy, like I mentioned before, to attract companies located in Asia that are interested in moving their operations to the Americas, to move their manufacturing operations to attend the United States. So we are also working with Pro Colombia and other entities to identify these companies and promote our region in order for them to invest here in Barranquilla. So this is the nearshoring trend is a golden opportunity for our country, and especially for the Atlántico, given our strategic location, our business infrastructure, our connectivity, and like I mentioned, all the benefits or all of our value proposition of the city that includes skilled workforce, favorable business climate, and others. So we think that all of these traits, and also that the fact that Colombia has a free trade agreement with the United States is very favorable for us in order to attract companies that are looking to move their operations. And the last thing I wanted to say, in order to support our local companies in Barranquilla, I also mentioned it before, we launched the project bank that is aimed at companies established in the state of Atlántico that require financing or strategic partnerships to develop their expansion operations. So this initiative also includes foreign companies that are interested in entering the Colombian market with a local company. So in Pro Barranquilla, what we do, we understand the project, we identify which companies, local companies, can be interested in this project, and then we match the opportunity with these potential partners and our allies, and introduce them this business opportunity. So if it works, then they will go into negotiations until the project can be done in Barranquilla. And we've been doing this with around 15 projects that we received in the project bank. And well, we hope that in these 2 last months that we have, we will continue to work, of course, in promoting our city, in attracting more investments, but also taking care of our investors that have already believed and bet on our city through these initiatives like the project bank and others.
Thank you, Maria Alejandra. Thiago, would you like to tell us your success stories, what you are doing right now? So we would like to hear from you.
Perfect. We are strengthening our strategy to diversify the economy of Minas Gerais, and because of the main point that I mentioned, that we are very well located in Minas Gerais, we are focused on sectors which really needs logistic as something strategic for them, such as biotech, pharma, e-commerce, food and beverage, retail, and so on. Having it done, we are working internally with for example, the financial secretary to improve our tax service here, with the infrastructure secretary to improve our infrastructure, because this is very sensible for us, and make the environment more friendly to investments to come. That's one point. That's something that we working inside the government, but we are also working for abroad. As I mentioned also in the beginning, people usually know about Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo, so we start focus also on cooperation and establishing agreements with institutions around the world, around the globe, which are linked to economic development. So we kind of make a very good approach with Portugal, because we have direct connecting flight here, in because of language, of course. Netherlands, Poland, we signed an MOU with those, with some local agencies. And Japan, and some in Hong Kong and Miami as well. So we are trying to connecting with those agencies to improve in the end the FDI, and also we are using our position as the South America directorship for WIPA, for the World Association for IPAs, to explore and show Minas Gerais and around the globe, and really get to know that this is the best place to be if you want to come to Brazil. Not only come to Brazil, but also to South America, because you can use Minas Gerais as a platform for Brazil and for other South American countries. Once, for example, we have inside Brazil, we have more domestic flights than São Paulo, for example, has more destinations than São Paulo. So we are trying to explore those qualifications, our workforce, which is very well qualified as well, and that's something that we are trying to explore and to show that Minas Gerais is the place to be if you want to come to Brazil.
Thank you very much, Thiago. That was a very good explanation and presentation and promotion of your city, and how Minas Gerais have evolved in the last 20-30 years. It's becoming a hub there. And I would like to, I think we have two questions or two comments in our Q&A and chat box. One of them is from Malaysia, Invest Selangor. Would it be possible if you can share the slides and presentation later? Of course, we can share our presentations because sharing is caring, and let's share our best practices slides so we can learn from each other. This is the best way. And the other is there going to be more webinars? Sure, this is the first volume of the webinars. Our first panelists were from Barranquilla, Colombia, and also Minas Gerais, Brazil. The next one will be announced pretty soon with different IPAs from different regions of the world. We are thinking of organizing 3 or 4 volumes for this webinar series, because as we were doing this organization and preparation, we had a call with Thiago and Ana Maria and Diana and Maria Alejandra that this